Welcome everybody, Mark and Julie here again from Anothen. It's great to be with you. What we're doing here right now is called Anothen Reflections.
It is.
Each month, Julie and I will bring to you what we're hearing from the Lord and what we're picking up in conversations in around the world. I have conversations, Julie has conversations. To give you an example, the last 2 days we've had conversations across 6 different countries. That affords us a unique opportunity by God to hear what he's saying in different parts of the world. And we have this word global in our name.
We do.
Therefore, it's important for us to hear that. And then for us to be able to somewhat harmonize these conversations and thoughts, and then what we're hearing in our own journal time, and bring that to you, along with other updated things. This will be on a weekly email that goes out, and I try to get those out about every Wednesday, and then it has an automatic resend on a Friday. But you'll find each month will sit there. So this one today will be there for 4 weeks in a row. So to make sure that you get it. And then, starting in August, there'll be another one, a new one that goes up for August. But it'll be an opportunity for you to be able to hear directly from us what we're hearing. And this is coming from your feedback as well. This is we haven't sat here and go, well, God told us to do this. No. This was from your feedback. And we are so encouraged by you, the way that you partner with us and run with us. And so we're bringing this now to you. Our new broadcast format. Do you want to speak a little bit about that, John?
New broadcast format. We're doing a podcast. We're taking what we had been doing for a long time was the Sunday broadcasts. Mark had been turning into a podcast called The Power of New. What we've done is kind of melded the two together a little bit more strongly. Some of the feedback that we got from you guys was that you wanted to be more involved or more connected with the global aspect of what we're doing. So because we know a lot of people around the globe, Mark reached out to many of them, and pretty much all of them came back and said, yeah, they'd love to be a part of that. So what we have on offer for you is every single week, just about, with the exception of maybe 1 or 2, we will have people from around the globe, leaders, Christian business leaders and
civic leaders, healthcare leaders,
and healthcare leaders and educational leaders, leaders in their field that love God, love people, and have amazing testimonies to share about all of the things that they're doing and what Mark likes to call fresh testimonies.
Yeah.
Fresh testimonies. So how that works, do you want me to go into that?
Yeah, go on, because this was your idea. It was a super idea.
So the new platform that we have here, we're using Melon now, which is different to Zoom. Melon gives us the opportunity to have still a lot of people on the call with us, but only the guest and the host and whoever else we want to bring onto that call will be seen on the live stream. Everybody else will be off to the side of our screen. We can see you, but the whole world cannot, which is comforting for some people to know that the whole world isn't watching me here. But at the same time, what we want to be able to do is
they can see and hear us.
They can see here. You will still be able to see and hear us. We're inviting everybody who joins us on that call to join us a little before the hour. So we start the live stream at 11 o'clock on Sunday morning. A little ahead of that time, so 10:30, 20 to 11. If we have everybody on the call, you will have a chance to actually be introduced to the guest speaker for that week. Pray for the guest speaker ahead of the broadcast time. But then during the actual live stream part of the podcast, we're asking for you to be hearing from heaven. So not just listening to what the guest is saying, but to be hearing what heaven's saying over them and keep notes if you want to, because we're also inviting you to hang around for a little bit after the podcast. So the podcast itself will go from 11 till 12. Afterwards, for about 10 or 15 minutes, or as long as it takes, if people are happy to hang around, to actually pray over our guest.
Yeah.
deliver those words of knowledge, those prophetic pictures, the words of encouragement, the uplifting prayers that will be carried then into a nation. This gives everybody, not just us, but everybody, a chance to make that kind of connection with leaders around the world and have an impact into the nations that they're serving in.
I love it. I love the part because we get to partner with you. You get to partner with us, and we get to bless people all around the world. Actually, as you say, having huge impact right where they are. Now, so think of this in 3 segments. Segment 1 is you on the call with us, with the leader, and we're not live. And that's just what Julie said.
Yep.
In that time, we're meeting, greeting, and we're praying. Segment 2 is you stay on the call, but we lift you off to the side where you get to pray and listen to what God's saying. Segment 3 is at the end of the call, so we're no longer broadcasting. We bring you back on, and those words you prophesy and release over the business leader. Have I understood that correctly?
That's pretty much how that works.
Perfect.
It will go for a little longer than what we have been doing in the past, but what it affords you is that connectivity time. That it's not quite so stark as, hi, we're all on the call now, let's jump into this live stream thing, and then it's the end, and then it's like, see you later, bye. That's a little bit more of the interaction that we envisaged when we first started this.
Yeah, that's
we
right.
wanted that kind of interaction.
Yeah.
It kind of morphed away from that necessarily because that was the tools that we had. This platform actually allows us to expand it a little bit more and put back in some of the original thoughts and dreams for what we wanted this to be.
So what we're going to do, a few of you have emailed the link directly. What we're going to do, and it takes us to our weekly email. Our weekly email is going to have that broadcast on there. So if you've missed it, bang, you can click on it. As well as that, it will have the one from the last, it'll have the one from the last week, so you can click on it, but it will also have the link sitting there, and I'll put it in big bold so you cannot miss it at the top of near the top of the email whatever you call it thing, page, whatever it looks like, it sort of scrolls. On top of the email around there, you'll find the link. You can't miss it. What you'll do is 10:30 Sunday morning, you'll call that email up, you'll click that link. Here's the thing. If you don't have Google Chrome, after you've watched this video, I encourage you to go and download it onto whatever computer you want to watch Sunday on, because it requires Google Chrome. And then when you click on that, it'll invite you to copy paste that link into your Google Chrome. So that's what that will do. If you automatically have Google Chrome on your laptop, then it'll just play. It'll take you straight there, no problem at all.
The other thing that's worth mentioning is, because it's a new platform, it's not the same link every week.
No, it's not.
And that is why we send out the email every week. So if you're relying on an old link, it will not put you onto the platform that you're expecting to get to.
Yeah.
We do need you to actually look in that email every week to find the new link.
Yeah.
So that you can get onto this week's broadcast.
That's a great. Thank you for sharing that. That's important to know.
It's part of the clunkiness, I suppose, of the new platform. But because it offers so much extra, it was worth. It was worth that change. So
yeah, it was. But thank you for your patience and bearing with us. But we want to get you all on there.
Yeah, it's important to be looking at those emails each week, because it will have a different link each week.
Yeah, and it's cool. I know we're spending a lot of time on this, but I think it's just so important to really state this. A lot of people say, well, you get to do this stuff around the world and connect with these people, but I'm just fill in the gap.
Yeah.
And we've always encouraged you and said, no, you never adjust.
You're always part of the story.
That's right, you're part of the story. This way you are directly in the story. We cannot put you anymore in the middle of the story, and it's the greatest delight of our hearts to know that we get to do that together with you as well. So we already had an encouragement this morning, and they won't mind me saying this, Phil and Marion Cow. Now Phil and Marion, some of you here who are friends of Anothen know Phil and Marion, they're in Japan. And we were talking with them this morning. And Ruben, if you're watching this, they said, thank you so much for, what was that guy from Romania? And we said, Ruben, oh my goodness, that encouraged us so much out here in Japan, hearing what he had to say as kingdom leaders, to hear that and to hear that this is what Anothen's doing, and please keep doing it. And so those sorts of things, they just really say, well, I think we might be on the right track. So so weekly email, that'll come out. Also, if you do have a fresh testimony of your own, something that God's doing right now, we will put that on our email. If you email that through to me, what it is that God has done for you, how that works, you'd email me through, God's done this thing this week, or I've seen him move, and it might be what seems a little way or a big way. It doesn't matter. We just want the stories of God out. I'll take that, I'll reword it so I make it generic, so that we take names out of it, we take things like that, so people aren't being like, oh my gosh, I didn't know they were saying that about me. Take all that out of there. Then I send that back to you for you to just sign off on and go, actually, that's really good, or could we change this or that? I'll make the changes backwards, forwards, then it goes on the email. So that way, when you see it, you know it's exactly what you wanted to say. So that way we can iron out any possible issues there. But we want to get these stories out. You're probably wondering what this is. This crown is a fun new initiative that the Lord has given to us to be able to do here in the great city of Charlotte, North Carolina. What I'm about to explain, if you're not from Charlotte, if you're in another US state or in another country, I want you to think about, could you possibly do this right where you are, some version whereof. So once a month, I have a group of leaders that we meet with, very informal, and we hear from heaven together. It's just practicing listening from heaven. They're local leaders, and some are, officially part of Anothen. Others are just connections and friends of Anothen. That's all good. What we do now is one business per month. We go into a different business within our local community here, and we pray and we listen from heaven for that business. Now, listening from heaven can mean some people who might have a prophetic gift or words of knowledge. It may be a word of thanks or a word of encouragement that's brought to that business and those business leaders. If it's a morning time, we'll bring breakfast in. If it's a lunchtime, we'll bring a bit of lunch in, and then offer, if they want to have communion, then we can have communion there as well. And then when we pray, prophesy words of knowledge, we encourage the business leaders to record that on their phone. Why the crown? Well, we're in the city of Charlotte, Queen Charlotte. And through a series of things that the Lord spoke through Julie and to me as well, we thought, what a great way to be able to encourage local businesses, for them to be able to see that they are a jewel in Queen Charlotte's crown. And so what we were doing now is we went and bought a box full of these little crowns with little jewels in them here. And every time now when we go into a business, we're going to leave this as a gift behind for them to see and to be reminded that this is who they are. This is how heaven sees them, that they are a gift to this city. They are a jewel in Queen Charlotte crown. So let us know if you're in a place you go, man, I'd love to go and pray for businesses in my area. I'd love to hear from heaven, and maybe there's a prophetic thing I could leave in local businesses too. Come and contact us, info@anothen.co. We'd love to hear what your thoughts are, and then anything we can do to help you get started. We would just love that, because boy, oh boy, it is a lot of fun. I think that's it on the news front. But you've been hearing some things from heaven specifically through your journaling. Pick up on some of those threads for us.
Yeah, some of the things that I'm hearing from heaven. Goodness, my journaling style is very conversational with the Lord, so I write out all of these great long conversations, which are just amazing. I love having these times outside. Some of what the Lord's been telling me has been carrying a really strong theme for this year, though. And it doesn't sound like, how some people grab a word for the year and this is the word that they focus on, and that's kind of how the Lord speaks to them. Well, I grabbed a word and a phrase that I focused on for the year. What he's speaking to me doesn't yet seem to be connecting with what I chose. So, we're going on a journey that God chose, which is probably going to be even better. However, started out by talking to me about being a disruptive disciple. And because we've been having conversations a lot about deconstructing and reconstructing, looking at some of the things that we've been taught as a generation in the church, and looking at those things and kind of pulling them apart and looking at them, putting them back together in a slightly different order sometimes. Certainly having conversations with our good friend Jason Clark, who encourages that kind of, disruptive
Big shout out to you, Jace.
Big shout out to Jason and his new book.
Oh, yes. Grab a hold of it.
This has also helped to shape
Leaving
some
and
of
Finding
this.
Jesus.
This part, though, came before the book, so this is mine, not from Jason. But I just want to read to you a little bit of what the Lord had said to me about being a disruptive disciple, because living the Christian life is not about conforming to everything that society says is right. It's about obeying the authorities that are over us, yes, absolutely, but there's still stuff that Jesus calls us to that offends people, and there's a reason why it does that, because it's bringing out kingdom and it's bringing heaven to earth, and there are certain people, but also certain entities that are not happy when that happens. So let me read you a little bit about being a disruptive disciple. Being disruptive is a hallmark of Jesus's disciples. You challenge the status quo. The religious powers that rule over Charlotte, this is the area that we're in, have kept their stronghold in this region for decades. They're not pleased when my people live in such a way that disrupts the acceptable limits of religious activity. You've heard it said that people have been given a small enough dose of Christianity to inoculate them against the real thing. That's
Howard Hendricks.
Definitely true. The enemy's stronghold has acceptable limits of Christianity. It will tolerate the minimum of Christian behavior. People can attend church on Sunday, Bible study midweek, even read their Bibles and pray and listen to worship music around the clock, and the enemy is not fazed. It may even encourage a certain amount of religious activity among the people, but nothing stirs the enemy more quickly or deeply than someone who comes in and follows the law of love in obedience to me. Love can fly under the enemy's radar as long as it operates within the acceptable limits set by the ruling stronghold. Some areas are more tolerant than others, but as soon as you set one toe of 1 foot outside of those acceptable limits, the enemy is riled. And many of you will have experienced this, especially in this day and age.
Isn't that the truth?
One toe of 1 foot outside of the acceptable limits, and someone's going to jump on you and try and drag you back into relationship with the rules.
That's right.
Because that's not how we do things around here. The enemy will stir up offense, indignation, self-righteousness, judgment, pride, and unforgiveness, all in the name of preserving the kingdom. The enemy uses shame, manipulation, false or altered definitions of love, accusation, and a twisted understanding of what the kingdom of heaven really looks like and how it should operate. It will seem to be nobly defending the body of Christ while keeping my bride bound in chains. A disruptive disciple is one who is mature enough and alert enough to recognize these schemes of the enemy and courageous enough to stand against them.
Amen.
A disruptive disciple sees beyond the acceptable limits of the enemy's stronghold and pulls on heaven's resources. Living and walking according to the law of love will draw the enemy's attention. He's happy for you to waste your time and resource being loving towards others. He'll even encourage you to do so, but love is not just about being there. Love desires growth. Love demands obedience. Love requires change. Love stretches and strengthens and expands and releases, and as such, it is uncomfortable to those whose understanding of love is limited. That was a big chunk of stuff for me to put off and chew.
Yeah, it was, and it still is. I mean, you're still processing some of it, aren't you?
Processing a lot of that, and still learning how to walk out a lot of that stuff as well.
And I think the phrase is it's not redundant. It needs to be in there to help us understand. But disruptive disciple, to be a disciple of Jesus, you must be disruptive because you're going to be counterculture. You're going to bring a shake about the metron around you. The influence with which you carry is going to disrupt things.
Right.
So it's not redundant. It needs to be in there to help us understand what we're talking about here.
Being a disruptive disciple of Jesus goes against the us and them mentality of the world at the moment, us and them, Republican or Democrat,
well, gay,
straight,
yeah, black,
white, Asian,
unvaxxed,
vaccinated, unvaccinated. Everything in society at the moment seems to be wanting to divide people against each other, to have, well, I stand for this and I stand for that, and give us something to fight about.
Yeah.
But being a disruptive disciple means that you walk in love, and it's not about us or them. We're all one.
Yeah.
In Christ Jesus.
Right.
We're all one. We're all made in God's image.
Well, I think
We've
that's the
all
starting
fallen
point,
short.
isn't it?
We're all in the same boat together. Yeah. So let's learn to live the way that Jesus lived, and love the way that Jesus loved.
Yeah, and again, I want to be clear. We have some pretty strong views on some of those things. Don't mishear us
Doesn't
here.
mean you can't have views on
No,
them.
that's exactly right. But we find an actual baseline called the human being.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Because way back in the beginning, in the garden, when Adam and Eve, the fall, the fruit, the serpent, the whole bit, the knowledge of good and evil was what they wanted to be able to decide for themselves what was good and what was evil. And the more people settle into that role, I will decide what is good and what is evil. One side of the fence is good, the other side of the fence is evil, and it depends on which side you want to be as to which side is good and evil. Everybody's doing what is right in their own eyes.
Yeah.
That's us trying to be God. We're trying to take his role of judging what is good and what is evil. Right. Was never for us to carry. It was never ours to judge.
Right.
So giving that role back to him, having those strong convictions, absolutely. Living according to those strong convictions, yes. But not treating each other badly for not having the same convictions as me. Jesus held the conviction that his Father was good all the time, and he lived from it. But he didn't hang out with people who believed that. None of his 12 disciples actually believed that until much later, after his resurrection. He still hung out with them. He still taught them. He still lived life with them, even though there was a disparity in what he believed and what they believed. It didn't stop him from coming and connecting and loving the people of the world. It actually drew him to do that more strongly. So
that's good. Well, it ties into the little piece as well that the Lord's been working with me on, and mine is a little bit more structural in its thinking, but your part really brings this whole thing to life. And I've been wrestling with this whole concept of what is human dignity. And for me, and I don't say this that everybody should, I want to be clear. For me, the Lord has said he wants me to take discipleship as a word out of my vocabulary for a season, because years of leading and growing and developing churches from Australia to America and beyond, I've been trained and skilled and schooled in a particular mindset of discipleship, which isn't bad, but it's not complete. And that is, okay, we do this course, we do these things, we do this, and now I'm a disciple of Jesus. And so therefore it's this very narrow, almost myopic view of what discipleship is compared to what the Lord's revealing to me. It includes that, don't get me wrong, again, don't mishear me. It includes that, but it's so much bigger than that. So the term that I've been using and invited to use is the term human flourishing. Why that? And again, it ties in here. John 10:10, Jesus said, the devil came to steal, kill, and destroy, but I came that you may have life and have it more abundantly. So what do we mean by these sorts of things? Well, first of all, a human fully aware, fully alive, a human fully flourishing, a human fully reflecting the image of God is what, if we use the word discipleship, is. I'll say it again, is a discipleship, a person who's become a disciple of Jesus is a human fully aware, fully alive, a human fully flourishing, a human fully reflecting the image of God. So, for me, it starts with dignity, and this is some of the language that we've been hammering out with the Lord right here at Anothen. And Dignity is the leading edge of love. Dignity is the act of protecting the imago Dei, the image of God, in a person. Dignity brings value to the human experience because it seeks to validate and bring value to the story of a human's interaction with the events that happen to them and through them while being immersed in time and space. So we're getting pretty technical with definitions here.
That's a bit heady.
It is. But this is why human dignity is worth protecting, because the human being, fully alive, fully flourishing, is the clearest reflection of God among us.
That's true.
Again, let's use the word discipleship now. Let's reinsert that. Why is discipleship so important? So these people can live like Jesus? Well, yes, but that's such a narrow view. There's a bigger why.
It's not so that they can have a certificate tucked inside the front cover of their Bible to say, I completed this course.
Right.
It's not so that they can now become a member of a church.
No, that's right. It's such a bigger why than that. And I'm going to say that again. I'm going to unpack this a little bit more, and then we're going to land for this particular Anothen reflection. I'll say this again. Why is it important to be a disciple, and why is discipleship important? Because the human being, fully alive, fully flourishing, is the clearest reflection of God among us. When a person's identity is protected, it disarms the heart to receive love. And so, as in only everything, dignity begins with understanding of ourselves first. We have to start there. I can't give away to others that which I do not possess. So let's step it through. In the garden, God said that humanity was very good. Before the humans had even done anything, interestingly enough, it wasn't like, oh, they tended the garden well, they are very good. No, they've just been made. They've just gone, here we are, very good.
They stood there and they were.
So, and again, now this is a bit of conjecture. I'm just going to, preface with what I'm about to say. But if these people were perfectly made in God's image, God makes the declaration, this is very good. It was as if God was saying, there we are, in pointing to humanity. Because he's seeing them perfectly reflected, himself perfectly reflected in them. It's as if God's saying, there we are. The fall dehumanized people. Humanity was now something other than very good. So, dignity is the leading edge of love. When a human is dignified, their being is protected. So the human being. So, for example, I'm at a cafe the other day. I get my bottle of water and I get my snack. It's Monday. I do this most Mondays. And I look up, ready to place my order, and here is a man dressed as a woman in front of me. Now, normally, I would have been very shocked and like, oh my gosh, and sort of been a little lost for words as I try and walk things out. But I was amazed as I got my things and looked up, and I'll just call him Mary, okay? Because her Mary, him, her Mary. I just said, hey, Mary, you look a little tired today. How you doing? Has it been a hard day here at work? And yes, actually it has been. I've been really struggling today. It's like, well, I really thank you for serving me today. I really appreciate it. And my name's Mark, at probably a 40, 50-second interaction, and then I went off. I sat back and reflected upon that. I didn't agree with the lifestyle choice. The brokenness is on full display before me. But what happened? I dignified the person because I identified, regardless of how broken you are, you look like you might be tired today. That actually is I'm protecting the being that's there in front of me. Now, it didn't happen in this interaction because I'm buying a bottle of water. But a protected being enables a heart to feel seen and safe, thus drawing down the protective barriers around it. Now, love becomes the transformative, rehumanizing agent that turns deformation around into transformation and restoration pathways back to the very good reflection of God's image. So when a person goes, oh, you've seen me, there's something comes down. In this instance, this particular person, actually suddenly their body language changed. But the trust starts to happen, and love, if dignity is the leading edge of love, love becomes the rehumanizing, transforming agent to help bring that person back to the fullness of the image of God that's in them.
That's what a disruptive disciple looks like.
Exactly right.
Because you're recognizing that the image of God in a person is, this is going to set up another reflection really, really well. You're recognizing that the image of God in a person is more than just flesh and blood. There's a spiritual element to that.
That's good.
That we are called to protect. And
this is the look. This is a look of a chef just tasting their own cooking right there, I think. That's good.
No. Tune in next time.
Yeah, that's right. So I'll finish out that thought, because you're right. I think that does unpack a whole heap more. So this is human flourishing. A human fully being representative of God's image, fully aware and fully alive. So why is this the most important endeavor of the human experience, to pursue this? It is because when a human being is fully aware, fully alive, fully reflecting God's image, it is the greatest expression and representation that God is among us. It's as though God himself is pointing back down again and going, that is very good. Oh, there we are. So it's this representative. So human dignity, love. So, in bullet point form, if human dignity is protecting the Imago Dei, the image of God, and love is the transforming rehumanizing agent, then human flourishing is the why, because the experience of a human fully alive is the clearest revelation of God among us, or a return to the very good. See why discipleship as a word, as we've understood it, is true, but it's so narrow. Because it involves so much more. It's the restoration back to the very good. It's the restoration back to the full expression of God in us. It's as though God points down and goes, oh, there we are.
Yeah.
Because he sees us, he sees himself in us. And now we know that Emmanuel, God with us, was the representation of God among us. And now we represent God among us through one another. That's what love does when dignity is the leading edge.
Yep.
There we are.
Okay.
Good stuff.
All right. That's enough for one.
That is enough
for one serving.
It is. We're probably blown out already, but you guys have been very patient. Thank you for tracking with us.
I know that I've got a lot to digest in just that, and that was already already our stuff. So
Anothen Reflections for July. Remember, we've got the new broadcast format. Again, to go back to the start of this video, take a look at what that means. We have our weekly email that's coming out. You'll see the link there. It will be unique every single week. So click on that on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Fresh testimonies, if you've got one, let us know, and then we'll get backwards and forwards so we can get that on our weekly email to encourage everybody. And that we're praying for businesses. If you're a business leader in the Charlotte area, let us know, because we'd love to come and pray for your business as well. And if you're wanting to start something like that where you are, info@anothen.co. We'd love to have a conversation with you.
Very cool. Fresh testimonies. I was just going to say, fresh testimonies. This is a word that he made up. You know this, don't you?
It is.
Fresh testimonies. Squished together, fresh testimonies. Just in case somebody missed it.
Right, just in case. Very good. I like that word, though.
You like words.
Hey, remember, God wants to take you further and deeper into encounters with his always perfect love for greater impact, because he wants to love the world through you. We're going to see you on Sunday.